So here I am in the middle of Causeway Bay, and but I'm sitting in a little oasis of greenery here, right? And there should be a few plants that you recognise here. For example, dun 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 dun. Bellum Canda chinensis, for example, is one of the plants that we've got here. And I want to introduce you to the person who has set up this little garden on his roof here in the middle of Causeway Bay. And this is Adam Powell.
Yes.
Adam, hi.
Hi, Gavin.
Good to see you.
Hi, how's it going?
And thank you so much for allowing me to come and look at this lovely garden, which is an inspiration by itself. I mean, when did you set this up?
I started this garden like 4 years ago. Originally I built all these pallets, and I made all these beautiful planters out of recycled pallets.
Okay.
But because of Hong Kong weather, it rotted it.
Right.
So then I went through and redesigned, and I basically just got IKEA planters, because planters are very expensive.
Oh, okay.
And I created them into basically ZIS planters.
Right.
Zero irrigation system to some extent.
Right.
So there's a water trough at the bottom. There's
So you do a bit of hand watering from time to time.
I mean, the buildings around here make it so hot.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So it dries out so quick.
So you've got a natural interest. I mean, in planting. I mean, you're a plantsman. I might say.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's start from the beginning. So currently, I'm a senior landscape architect, senior associate with St. Ligier Design Associate International. Terrible. But I started my career. I was originally a bricklayer. I was a brick mason.
Where in the UK?
In the UK,
right.
In Bournemouth. I went to a college called Merris Wood, which was a horticultural college. I did an ND in landscape construction and design. I then went off and did my apprenticeship with my lecturer, David Dodd. He owns a company now called The Outdoor Room in the UK, which is a very famous company. You see him a lot on the BBC.
Right. Oh, okay, yeah.
Do really high-end, they basically do all the work for all the really high-end garden designers, Andy Sturgeon, etc. A few. After that, I went off and I did my BA in garden design at Hadlow College as part of the Greenwich University. I did a 3-year degree there. So again, work being based on, first of all, Merris Wood, and then Hadlow, grounds of horticulture, so it was very good. I also worked part-time in garden centres to build my knowledge.
Okay, all right.
So I was very much a plants person.
Yeah.
After my degree, I went to Chicago. I spent 3 months. Basically, the idea was me to train them to do English-style gardens, but it just didn't work out that way. So then I got a job with a lady called Terry Goodwin Design Associates, and I worked on Millennium Park, Chicago, for 4.5 years.
All right.
And basically did a lot of the plant design within the.
And when did you come to Hong Kong?
I came to Hong Kong in '96. So so the reason why I emphasised Millennium Park was I worked at Millennium Park, and then I worked on the Lurie Garden, which was designed by Krafton Gustafsson and Peter Udolph. Peter Udolph is my plant hero.
Okay, all right.
And while the garden was handed over, I spent 5 months being the head gardener for the Lurie Garden.
Okay.
So again, working with Peter Udolph and a boy called Roy Diblick, further embellished my love of plants.
Yes.
Right. Then after that, I went back to the UK. I did a year, basically odd job in landscape again. I did my masters at Greenwich University. I finished my masters. First of all, I went to Cracknell Ferns, and I worked on the London Cut, which is quite a famous project, Middle East. And then I went to work for Randall Sidley. Randall Sidley Associates are actually doing projects in Hong Kong. So if you go to the Kai Tak, Kowloon International Centre, and some other places, you can see Randall's work. So I worked for Randall Sidley, worked mostly on Wembley. Then after that, I came to Hong Kong. First of all, I worked for Urbis, then I went and worked for RMJM, which was Strata. Then I went and worked for Adrian Norman. Then I spent 7 years at Aisley, where I met you.
Yes, we met. When did we meet? What? 2008. 2012. Okay.
Right. So after that, and then for the last 9 months, I've been working for St. Ligier Design Associates, which is more of a boutique style design where we work mostly on hotel resorts and private gardens.
So Adam, now you're working. You're now in a position actually to be employing or
I'm the one that does the interviews.
interviewing students
Yes.
and prospective employees. So,
Yes.
I want to ask you. I mean, what is it that you're looking for in a portfolio, and what do you think is, and especially in particular in related to planting? Do you think that that's an important part
Okay.
of a landscape architect's kind of field of knowledge, if you
Okay,
like?
so straight away in a portfolio, you want a good balance, right? You don't want it to be too much focused on one or the other. But, so you do want to understand that people, first of all, have an understanding of the site. They do understand what is a site and what is their brief, whatever that is, and convey it in the bigger picture. But you want to see the bigger picture, the site-wide, and you want to see it come down to the detailed area. Site-wide,
I mean, how you
master
can actually
plan.
make that happen, basically.
Yeah, so you want to see it site-wide, then you want to see the master plans, then you want to see part plans, material plans, planting plans,
Right.
and then sections and details. And then you want to come down even into the detail, right?
Right.
And you want them to understand the bigger picture down.
Right.
So that was one thing that I haven't seen as much as I would like.
Right.
When
okay.
I did my degree, and the reason why I explain this, when I did my masters, one of the main things we had to do was the bigger picture, but we had to provide planting plans.
Right. Okay.
So
do you have an example
This
there?
is
right.
this is the planting
Yeah.
plan that I did. So
Okay.
again, you can see. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm just
Right.
saying,
Right.
the species. You can see the call-outs.
So basically,
You can
this is a drawing that will enable you to communicate to the contractor, right? Who's building the project exactly what you want to be planted
And-
where and how many of them and the distribution of them. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty basic, but it's this basic stuff that is important. Would you?
I think so,
you
because
think
I mean
it-
the point being is, realistically, the big picture is great, but the big picture is 10-15% of a
Yeah.
project. right?
Yeah.
The realistic thing is, once you get into your concept, you're in your schematic, you start to get into your planting palettes and your main key. You move it into detailed design, then you start to work up the numbers, the species, the spacing, and,
Yes,
and
yes.
the more the character. And then that goes off to tender, so it's very important.
Right.
Which then goes to be constructed, which means that you're going to have changes through the
Well,
design
and then you've got
process.
so you would probably have a site supervision role in that.
Depending what we are,
Depending
either
on
there
the-
might be a register. Depends. Is it private or is it government?
But
Is
you
it-
need to
what
be
is
able
the
to handle the
project?
site supervision role.
But you need to understand what it is, and
Yeah.
you need to understand not just your plans, but you need to understand how should they be planted, and
Yes.
that's key. And making sure what is a plant, and also when it comes on site, is it of good quality?
Yes.
Right.
Right.
And the trees, are they of good quality?
Yes.
And is the root ball and the root system of the plant of good quality, which is something that can be a make or break whether
Yes.
your design works in the long run.
Yes.
So and the other thing is, how is it planted? Many times trees and other plants are planted too low and then they die.
Right.
And that's
Right.
something you really
So
want
is
to
this
be aware
this
of.
sort of this kind of really basic practical knowledge is
You need-
something that
yeah.
is you need to be a well-rounded landscape architect.
I think
Is that a fair
I
remark?
think, at the end of the day, you are a landscape architect, right? And in the words, landscape on the outskirts, which means that we need to understand the hard and we need to understand the soft, and we need to understand how they work together,
Right.
and understand how the details of the hard will influence the planting, and how the planting will influence the details of the hard. And that's key, because either or can ruin or kill the other design.
Okay.
And also, one thing I note is to make sure that when you design, you're not so focused on the hardscape that you want to become, whatever,
Right.
that you have an appreciation of the softscape to enhance it.
Yes.
Like a meal. When you go out for a meal, you don't want just a piece of steak.
Right.
You want a nice, you think about what is the garnish like? What is
Yeah.
the side? How does that embellish and make that meal look and taste great?
Yeah.
And that's what, that to me is what landscape is. It should be hand in hand.
Yeah. Well, I think you've got a great example here. We've got lemongrass and we've got mint and we got nasturtiums, all kinds of, and sweet potatoes, all kinds of edible stuff here. So, yeah, that's great.
For me, I want to see, for me, as a landscaper, as a designer, at the end of the day, we need nature, and we want to provide for nature, right? Another linear planting plan that will be clipped and there's no colour, it doesn't do anything for anybody. We need to focus on biophilic design. We need to focus on human well-being. We need to create places.
But in order to achieve those ideals, you need the basic
you need
knowledge,
to understand,
right?
and you need to be interested.
And
you need to just go out and not and look everywhere you go, and slowly over time, if you're lucky, you can start even with a window box.
All right. So, Adam, I want to ask also just one question about the role of hand drawing versus computer drawing, and where do you think that hand drawing is important, and what do you think you get out of it, and is it something you still use? I mean, now that we're in a sort of virtual age.
For me personally, I use SketchUp, I use Photoshop, I use CAD, but I always start from hand drawing, because at the end of the day,
you start with what? Sorry.
I always start with hand drawing and sketches.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, you've got to think about, I'm in charge now with budgets, right? And I can't have somebody sat there working out a CAD drawing and a sketch. It's got to be quick. So I need you to go away, sit down, a couple of fun sketches, right? A few little matchstick men. Come tell me what you think. Share your thoughts with me. We discuss it. Go away, develop the next stuff. We get to a point. Next minute we put it in a CAD. Next minute we take it to SketchUp. Next minute we take it to Luminon.
So you now use it as part of as a stage of. Do you think that? When you're learning, when you're in the process of learning about these issues, do you think that the hand drawing is an important stage to go through?
Of course. The thing is, what I find, people are scared of it. They think they've got to be some grand artist. You do not. I do. For me, I just do matchstick men. I've just conveyed enough information there. You understand?
So this is getting your basic idea across. Right?
That's
even with rough drawings like that, you can make sure that the dimensions are rough, 98% correct.
But depend on what your baseline information is provided. But that took me 5 minutes. Now, you did that in CAD. How many hours is that? So then, and if you're going to, and again, another little, very quick conveying ideas to your team, and then you get them to go off and develop it.
And this is actually something you could do in meetings as well, on the spot, right, with clients and other professionals.
Well, it depends. Like I say, you normally take a little roll of tracing paper. Depends on what you've got. Again, you take it to the next level and just add a bit of colour, and before you know it, again, you don't have to be amazing. You don't have to be the best artist.
And this leads on to what?
Well, then you basically take it to the next stage, and then you put it through and. This drawing is actually a kind of a combination of hand drawing and computer work. Well, this was basically my hand drawing, and then I developed it up, and then I put it in a Photoshop, and then rendered some of it up. So this is my student work again. So this was, this was what I did in my portfolio, and
then this leads on to the working drawings, which we saw before, right?
Well, again, once the client's happy with where you're going, and they approve it, and they understand the character and the feel that you're trying to achieve, you then develop it up and you take it to CAD, take it into sketch. Nowadays we all work in 3D.
Right. And the working drawings look like.
Well, I wouldn't say working drawings. This is again. I showed you this with the portfolio. So we had, again, later on, took that, we did the planning plan. Again, something what I find isn't shown enough, and that's a material plan of people's understanding of
Right.
of materials. And
So it's not
dimensions,
just a planting issue; it's also
Oh.
a sort of landscape technology and materials
sizes,
issue.
call outs,
Yeah,
dimensions,
yeah.
basic, what's being done, how will it generally be constructed.
Yes, yes.
And again, hardscape and softscape is 80% of our work.
Right. Right.
Depending what office. And again, this is my student stuff, so this is my early Photoshop
Oh,
stuff,
okay. Yeah.
and this is my early planting plans.
Right.
So, and the reason why I show you this is because, this you see generally nowadays in all portfolios, and so that's not the issue. The issue for me is I'm not seeing a level of detail.
So it's these. Right. So it's these working drawings that you want to see in addition to everything else.
I want to see.
Right.
And the other thing is what I found last time when I was
Right.
interviewing people, what I found quite disheartening. First of all, they never looked at the company website. They sent their CV in. They never looked at you as a company. They had no idea who we were or what we did.
Right.
So they came in. They were
Yeah.
telling us they want to do this and they want to do that.
So investigate your
first of all,
your prospective employer, so you know what they're about.
Know what they're doing. Look
Yeah,
at their
yeah,
projects and come in and talk about their projects and
Right.
what you liked about their projects.
Right.
What influenced you. Second thing that was I found a bit, is people coming in with their portfolio that was A0 on sheets of A4
All right. So yes.
and trying to explain to me their work.
Yes.
And all they showed was their portfolio of their display.
Right. So what's a better way to do it? I mean, simply bigger pieces of paper, or is it better to show it
portfolio,
electronically?
A3 portfolio minimum.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
all your work from the day you started.
Right.
Not
And
just your final.
and including the rough works. I mean,
All
because
the
it's
sketches.
interesting to see. It's interesting to know how somebody got to a particular
I wanna know.
the process they went through. Right.
And-
Is that you're also interested in that?
I want to see their sketch work. I want to see their
Yeah.
thought process, because sometimes nowadays there's so much beautiful graphics out there. You're like, what? But how did you come to that? Where did you come from? Because that could be the winning.
So basically, you're talking about why is it like that? I mean, why is your design the way it is?
Yeah, and how are you creative? And knowing the way that you think would be like, yeah, this is someone I can convey ideas to, and they can. And this person, I don't think I can convey ideas to, and they're going to struggle.
Yeah.
So straight away understanding the way you think and your thought
Yes.
process and your sketch ideas. And I want to see you from the day one, your projects throughout your course. I don't want to see your final project.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, sadly, some people get their friends to do their work for them.
Right.
And so you really want to know that they've done it. You really
Yes.
want to see how they've come from.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's very important, I think.
Okay. All right.
And make sure that, A3 portfolio, work throughout all your projects, even if it's a couple of bits.
Yeah.
All your sketches. You might find it boring.
And find out who you're talking to.
And
And
find
that
out-
really also applies so much to clients as well, isn't it?
Well-
Once you got the job.
Well, that's the whole thing. Research if you're
Yeah.
going to go on their website the night before, look at their projects,
yeah.
and if you're go out and see their projects, understand their projects,
Right.
and tell the client what you liked about the potential, what you liked about their projects, and what inspired you. When you go to an interview, you're going to sit there for an hour telling me about yourself, and you're telling me you want to work with government and change the world, and I'm like,
Have you changed the world?
well, no, I mean, but when you had no understanding of who we were as a company, which was
Right.
just very
Yeah.
saddening. So, spend your time.
Yeah.
If you want the job, think about the bigger picture, not just
Yeah.
your one bit of portfolio.
All right. Okay. Any final remarks that you would that are on the tip of your tongue that you think would be useful for people sort of embarking on their landscape architecture career?
I think the thing is, if anybody comes in for an interview, why did you become a landscape architect? Truthfully, why?
Right.
And what is it you want to be?
Right.
And where do you want to go? I mean, I know when you're young, you don't really know, but you had an idea. What
Right.
invoked you? Why landscape architecture?
Yes.
So think about that. And do you want to be a designer, or do you want to just go off and get a government position and be more of a manager?
Right.
And that's fine if that's where you want to go, but be true to yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be a designer, be a designer. And,
Okay.
and think about landscape as if it's a salad. You know what I mean? Like, how does it go together? The flavors.
Right,
Too
right.
much flavors,
Yeah.
too little flavors. You can have that very simple, beautiful salad. You can have a salad with beautiful loads of stuff going on, but it's perfect, or
Yeah.
it can just be a mess.
Right.
So think about balance, think about harmony, think about the hardscape, the softscape, and the details. And the main thing, one thing I will say about landscape is, how will it be maintained?
Yes. Yes.
Don't design a landscape.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, how will it be maintained?
Yeah.
Because you can design beautiful landscapes and the maintenance destroy it.
Yes.
They use the wrong cleaning.
Yeah.
They use too powerful tools.
Or the wrong kind of pruning that you
wrong
didn't even know they were going to do.
They erode all the joints.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
do
yeah.
that. So when you're designing, think about what are you designing, who you're designing, and speak to the management, speak to the facilities, and make sure you are designing for the people, for the client, but so it can be maintained and be the landscape you design 5, 10, 15 years down the line.
Okay.
You know, that's one thing, that's critical.
Great. All right. Thank you so much, Adam.
Worries.
We've gone, but I think that's one of the things it goes from the sublime to the ridiculous, doesn't it? I mean, you've got to really understand the why, the reasons why you're doing it, the where you're going with the profession, but at the same time, be able to communicate, to the contractor the absolute basics of what needs to be done. So anyway,
you have many hats, and that's that's what I love about being a landscape architect. It's, I mean, I'm a nerd. I just going to say this, but I'm one of those people that walk around every day looking at paving, looking at planting.
Yeah.
I spend my weekends looking at gardens. I'm a real nerd.
Well, there you have it, from the horse's mouth. Be a nerd, and it's exactly what I'm trying to do with this course, is to foster a whole group of plant nerds. So there you have it.
And design nerds.
Design nerds, exactly.
Landscape, get that balance right.
Yeah. So Adam, one, well, it may or may not be the last question. I'm not sure yet.
Right.
But I want to ask you about the botanic names. I mean, do you think that knowledge of the botanic names is important, firstly, for the final product itself, and secondly, why is it important as a professional to know this?
Well, I mean, first things, to understand that, you've got to understand the botanic, the scientific name, generally is used throughout the world. So no matter where you are, where your project is, who you're working with, whether they've got different common names, the scientific name should always be the same, unless they're constantly changing it for some reason. But generally, the scientific name is a given. So no matter where you are, you have an understanding.
Right.
And then you, as the plantsman, designer, knows it. The plant people know it.
Yeah.
The botanists, or if there's other people, pest and disease experts, everybody knows what it is, and by whatever the species is, and knowing that species, know what the pest and disease is, know when the flowering is, know all the details. So it's very important.
So that you can communicate it to the client.
You can communicate to the client, to the contractor, to everybody, and even later on, if it's going to be an educational garden, you want to educate the public. So it's very important. The thing is, people are scared of the names. Now, you've got to think of it. This is how I think of it.
Don't tell me you've got a botanic name trick.
Well, I don't have a botanic name trick, but you just got to think about the roots. Botany comes from Latin. Latin is basically Italian, Spanish, French. So if you think about the way that the Spanish and the Italians speak, they pronounce every vowel.
Yes.
So when you think of the name, rather than saying it flat, emphasize the vowel, like Bella Canda. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So imagine it is an Italian fine wine,
So
or
that's what I mean. So you think about it,
ice cream or something.
and you see the word, and then when you see a vowel, you highlight the vowel. You see the vowel, you highlight the vowel, and then basically think about, Italians, I don't know, ciao, grazie, Lucienta, I don't know, they always, the Spanish and the Italians emphasize the vowels. So if you always break the word down, emphasize the vowel.
Well, why do you, I mean, this is important for one's image as a professional right?
It is a professional, I mean, and it sounds right, but if you sat there going, it's Anglia, and you go, what? Anglonia, you know what you're talking about, so it makes you as a professional, if you're talking to somebody, it makes you sound like, you know, the end of the day is why, you know, we're going into this to be professionals. This is our profession.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So, you know, if somebody invites me over and I can't tell them about plants or when's it going to flower or what's going to happen with it, and I say the name wrong, they're going to look at me like,
are you really a landscape architect?
I'm not going to give confidence. You know, you want to give confidence. You know, they're paying you for your time.
Yeah.
And your knowledge.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, on that note, we'll finish with Belamcanda chinensis.